At Allegiance DNA testing, our main goal is to match relatives with their former relatives. In order to do so, we use different forms of DNA, such as hair, nails, and blood, to identify these patients. We do this to provide curious patients with answers if they are questioning if they are truly related to someone else. The majority of the patients are parents and their children who are unsure of who the mother or father is. Allegiance DNA testing gives you the most accurate results that we can. Blood is drawn from the individuals. The blood is placed in a small 15 microliter centrifuge tube, then placed in a centrifuge. The centrifuge then spins the blood at a very fast pace to separate the red, white blood cells, plasma, and platelets. The blood is spun for about 15 minutes, and the scientist then takes only the white blood cells and adds restriction enzymes to cut the DNA, so when placed in the gel, the different fragments are able to be seen. The cut DNA is placed in a gel submerged in water that is then electrified. The different fragments travel to different places in the gel. When the gel electrophoresis is finished, bands are able to be seen when placed in a light. The bands are then looked at and compared to other lanes of DNA that were placed in the gel. If the bands of DNA match, then that means they have the sum of the same DNA as the parents. There are not many ways to cheat a DNA test, but one of the possible ways to do it is by paying the person taking your blood to switch it out with another sample. If the mother's blood is switched with the alleged father's, the test would show he's in fact the father when it's just showing the mother's DNA. But with our system, we have multiple doctors present throughout each step, so answers cannot be messed up. For matching babies and their parents, we will use blood. We will make sure we have multiple professionals draw blood so no one can fake it. The hospitals will test it from both parents or even just the mother. We will use 4 restriction enzymes to cut the DNA. We will also cut the parent's DNA, and we'll use jelly electrophoresis to find matching DNA samples. If the match matches, then the child goes with their mother. It is correct 99% of the time. It will work because it is extremely hard to replicate DNA. So the blood we draw from the patient and the child, we will cut with 4 restriction enzymes. We are using 4 different enzymes to double check and make sure that the DNA matches 100%. We will put the DNA with the 4 restriction enzymes into the jelly electrophoresis and let it sit until we get a match with both the child and their mother and or father. With using this system, we've had many success stories, but here's one. Last week, our team had a patient come in with their 6-month-old baby, wondering who the father was. The night she got pregnant, she had been drinking and was intoxicated. And there were many guys that she had talked to that night prior to her pregnancy. In order to figure out who the father was, we had the 4 guys that she remembered from the night come in and get a blood test. Once we had the mother, the baby, and the men's blood, we used restriction enzymes to cut all of the DNA, and then used jelly electrophoresis to figure out who the father was. After cutting the DNA and using the jelly electrophoresis, we concluded that suspect 2 was the father of the baby. Our system is very private and cannot be messed with by outside people. We will make sure to keep the DNA and the cut DNA out of the public eye. We will also make a specific database where the DNA will be stored. It will be an extremely secure database to ensure nobody who doesn't have the proper authorization to access the files can get into it. So that means that each person who enters will have to have a specific passcode. And with our system, there are body systems involved. The main body system is the circulatory system. And in this system, the heart circulates blood around the body. And in order to get the DNA from every patient involved, we had to get blood from each one of them to identify their DNA. Another option, if the blood fails, is through the integumentary system. This system includes skin, hair, and nails, and it acts as a barrier to the rest of the body. In conclusion, we hope that you would choose our product.